And our next guest joining us tonight here on Punky's MixTape is hailing all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'd like everybody to welcome to the show Gabe and Preston of Careful Gaze. How we doing?
Hello. Good.
Hello.
Good. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. I'm really glad we can make this work with scheduling and timing. So I truly appreciate you stopping by the MixTape tonight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to do it.
Well, for my mixtapers that may not be familiar with the band, we'll start first by introducing yourselves.
I'm Gabe. I do vocals primarily for Careful Gaze.
I'm Preston. I do guitar primarily for the band Careful Gaze.
Perfect. Now, for those who might not be a little familiar with the band or from the area, tell us a little bit what kind of band is Careful Gaze?
That's a great question.
You're so diverse. Yeah. That's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get you on. Not to interrupt, but that's a great question indeed.
Yeah, we have a lot of influences and styles for sure. I typically just say at this point we're a heavy rock band, but we have influences from emo to post-hardcore to indie, post-rock. So that we kind of fit best in like a heavy rock post-hardcore genre.
Which is definitely right up my alley. And I think, from years of growing up in like the Boston hardcore scene and things like that, and seeing where a lot of bands have expanded over the years, great bands from the Northeast, obviously like Converge when you think of that. But obviously for me, the big one would be Cave-In.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And one of my biggest influences, and what a great way just to see growth and development in a band. And
for real,
gonna be a little flattering right now. While listening to your discography, your growth and evolution, I found to be comparable to Cave-In's growth and development over the years. You've taken a lot of different risks, a lot of different styles. You incorporate emo, post-hardcore, rock elements. You have these very awesome melodic breakdowns, and you're doing your own thing. And that's why I was so fucking eager to get you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
we really
so
appreciate that. I feel like you're like the perfect target audience for our music and like what you're into, and from the way you're talking, like we kind of, when we write music, we want there to be something in it for everybody, but we definitely want to appeal to like the hardcore people and the people that like grew up listening to heavy music, but maybe that's not all that they're looking for now.
Absolutely. Preston, anything to add to that?
I just want to be music for everybody, but especially the people that think they're too old to get in the pit now. As someone who gets knocked on his ass in the pit constantly, I'm a fan of not getting in the pit. Stand outside it, watch it happen. Yeah.
I've got many of pit horror stories.
I bet.
My face is titanium, believe it or not, from pit horror stories.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a story for another day, but I'm kind of on that line, because let's talk about that for a second, because as things are starting to open up, some individuals have 16 months of built up aggression. I am on, the further end of the 35 spectrum. I turned 36 this year. And I'm going to see the Acacia Strain and Every Time I Die. It'll be my first, and The Ghost Inside, my first show back in August, for like a big show. And I'm telling you what, there is no way in fucking hell I'm going into the pit for the first song for the Acacia Strain. No way. Not happening at all. I value this other side of my face.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen again. What do you think it's going to be like when things start to, really open back up again, as far as the hardcore community goes?
I feel like people are going to, go that much harder just because of like what you're talking about. They've just been not able to go to shows for so long. And also I think a lot of people realized how much they were taking shows for granted once the pandemic started. Not being able to go see your favorite bands on a album release cycle or something like that. Or for like, even for us, not being able to play our new songs live when they came out was like really weird and hard to get used to. So I think and I hope that makes people kind of take it up a notch when it comes to even just like attending shows in general. But yeah, like having a good time at shows, throwing down, jumping around. I hope people will get more active with that, and less people will kind of just be like skipping out or standing off to the side, not do anything. Unless that's how you appreciate music, I can definitely respect that still too. But yeah, I'm hoping for some rowdiness, I guess, for our first show back.
What do you think, Preston? You think it's gonna be a bloodbath when things open back up? Is that a brutal pit?
I don't want a bloodbath at any show, but I have a feeling that Acacia Strain show there might be some blood taken. I love people watching. I've always loved watching like bands from the back of the room, just because I'm like, let me appreciate the music. I don't want to get my nose broken right now. I can't afford that. And so for me, it's gonna be great people watching across the board, just to like see what's happening. But like as a band member, you love seeing people just absolutely like lose control in a way, but like it's like a controlled self-control, like a controlledness about it that you love to see, that you thrive off of. So I hope that there is that, and that shows just are well attended and people respect each other, and someone gets knocked on their ass, fucking pick them back up.
Come back up. Mosh pit courtesy 101, And that's the big thing. Like, I'm all about for like what's happening in the pit to be in the pit. And also if you're on the press pit, the front bar of the stage, and there is no barrier and there are stage dives permitted, that whole general area, just keep your head on a swivel. If you don't want to stay away from it. But at the same time, don't be that son of a bitch that just goes wall working into people just having a good time, having a drink and observing the show. That's what I can't stand. And I have a feeling we'll get some of those idiots, but you know what? 5 minutes in the pit will clear that shit right up. So
yeah.
But I'm excited. I am really eager for things to start to open up. We got some local things happening here in Maine. But what about you folks? I saw just today you announced your comeback show.
Yeah, so that's the only thing we have currently like in stone. We're planning a couple other things. But right now that's what we have in stone. We're playing in August at 7th Street Entry, which is attached to the venue First Avenue, which a lot of people know as the place where Prince performed for Purple Rain for the movie and stuff like that. It's a very iconic venue. So it's
language right now.
Yeah, it's a really cool place.
Believe it or not.
What was that?
That I'm a huge Prince fan, believe it or not.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Prince is so good. And this venue is kind of like, the little sibling of the main First Ave place. So we're really excited to be playing there and to be just playing a show again. It's with two really solid other artists. And yeah, I can't wait. That can't come soon enough.
That's awesome. When's that happening?
That is August 5th.
Nice. That generally seems to be where a lot of things, even here in Maine, like I got a good friends, they have a gig on the 6th. So I'll be out filming that, getting, video gigs back lined up. So I think it's about the beginning of August is we're going to start to see some life back into things, it
seems that way,
which is good. It generally seems that's where things are with tour. And like here at Maine, I think we just hit like 68, 70% vaccinated so far. So like we're getting there, we're getting there, we're one of the better off states for that. And I think even today we only had 18 new cases. So like things are finally starting to move in a better direction, and we can actually get excited about the semblance of normalcy again and getting rowdy in a pit and even just going to a show. So I'm incredibly just so happy to be able to do, because that's been my life for the last 20 years. Has been either performing or filming or attending, supporting, and even promoting for a long time as well. So I'm excited to have that little semblance of normalcy. But you had mentioned earlier, and obviously with so many others, we have all had to endure the last 16 months, and for many artists like yourself, had to put out a handful of tracks that you haven't gotten to play yet. That must have been rough.
Yeah, we were able to at least do a pretty decent quality live stream video where we performed everything just in our practice space. But of course, like that's not the same. And it's its own kind of cool thing to have like a chat going off when you premiere it and people talking about it, and to be able to interact with people because you're not actually performing at that second. But it was very hard, and it was even harder to choose what our set would be coming back, being like, okay, now we've released basically, I think, like 8 extra songs or something since we stopped playing shows. So what ones do we actually play and what ones don't we play, you know?
That's always the hard choice, you know, especially when, you know, you're getting billed with, say, like other hardcore, metalcore bands, stuff like that, you know, pretty diverse genres, I'd imagine, with your style. You know,
Yeah.
you probably imagine the 20 to 30 minute set, you know, on the occasional 40 minutes. So like, how do you hone that down, especially when you have so much new material?
Right. Yeah.
Is there any track in particular either one of you like really fucking excited about being able to finally play out live that you haven't had a chance to?
What's yours, Preston?
Mine's World Eater. Like,
yeah,
hands down. That's what we planning to end the setback with, is that. Spoiler alerts. And I'm really stoked for it, to have it all come together, to like actually be able to play it finally, like as a full band. Like, it's been 8 months or something, like, and like we're just now finally getting to play it.
Yeah, I think World Eater is the one for me too that I'm most excited to play live. Out of the ones we have currently planned, there's a lot of others that I'd love to get to at some point, like Sunday Special, Crop of Bones, stuff like that. But right now, World Eater and our song Thunder Rolled Around Their Shores, which I think is one of the ones we'll listen to, those are the two that I'm really excited to play live, because those are just very cinematic and they kind of breathe, but they've got a lot of dynamics to them. And like that stuff is just so much more fun to play live, to really kind of like feed off the crowd's energy.
It's really good to hear, you know, that you're aware of that, you know, and understanding, like, it's so hard sometimes to kind of step away from yourself when building a set, especially when you got a solid discography and you're like, what is really going to be have the most impact? And I like that because, you know, being a film grad myself, I've always put my sets together like mini scenes or mini movies, and same as a DJ as well. When I'm going out and playing, I have a theme and I have different acts in my head, and I'm trying to absolutely emote, you know, a reaction out of this, and really trying to think about it on a deeper conscious level. So yeah, really, it's always so hard to kind of, you know, to hem and haw over the set. But when you can think what's really going to have the biggest impact on your audience, I think you're already a step ahead than a lot of people that are already out there.
Yeah, we really, when the year started, that was when we kind of started to kick it into high gear of like, okay, now finally shows are on the horizon, so we need to make sure when we come back that we're not just playing the same caliber of set when we left. Like we were happy with our live set when shows went away, but I want to be twice as good as that, you know, when we come back. Like, let's not have people wait over a year to see us and then just come back and be average or the same. Like, let's do something that's like a step up and makes people feel like their time and effort and money is worth it to come out and see us.
That's important, you know, because we know, and I've seen it, that shows are going to be a little bit more than what they used to for a little while because the venues were struggling for so long, and that's totally fine for me. And I think we're going to have a resurgence in kind of, for me, like me, I'm almost 40, but back in high school, it didn't matter who was playing on Friday night. There was bands playing and you went, and you just got so much diversity in styles. I mean, if I didn't just say yes to going shows like that, I would have missed great opportunities, like to see the Dillinger Escape Plan in a 100-person venue in Augusta, Maine, you know, and same, you know, like the Red Chord and so many other amazing bands out of the Northeast that are just, you know, pushing themselves. Sometimes you got to take that willingness to say yes to live music and new experiences, and I think we're going to see that in this kind of, as I've been calling it, a post-COVID renaissance. Because people have used this time for the betterment of themselves, their music, their art, and their community, and we're starting to finally see the rewards of all that labor of the last, you know, year to 16 months for people working on projects. And we're getting so much diversity, and then we get amazing bands like you, where you were like, how would you describe the band? Like, oh, that's a great question, because you really can't. We're this there's this new line of music that's coming up that's far more diverse, and you're seeing this pulling influences, and you can't quite put your finger on it. But I think that's exciting because
I do too.
We for so long we were in the kind of the genre confines, especially if you're like in the early to like, oh, you played a deathcore band, you're technical death metal, you're a hardcore band, you know, as emo and screamo and pop punk and different things all became, you know, variations. But now, I mean, shit, there are pop punk bands with like heavy ass Whitechapel breakdowns and shit like that. I'm like, you fucking do you, man. You want fucking breakdowns? Have crazy breakdowns. Nobody's I'm not going to complain about a breakdown, you know, never, you know. But it's amazing to see, and I think it's just like the beginning of it. This is just opening the threshold of this new modern renaissance of people taking risks because they had nothing else to lose in that time, you know. So people pushed, you know, put to the brink of all their emotions on every extreme. I think this is drastically going to change the way that we look at the underground scene, especially with the vast diversity of artists that are just coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's definitely an exciting time. Lots of amazing things happening all around the world. But you guys have been doing this now for a little while, since like 2015, 2016 you've been doing this for?
I started this as kind of a solo thing back in 2013.
Oh wow.
And it was we had a different name back then. You know, we briefly talked when we jumped on about people having a hard time with the name Careful Gaze and even getting that right on like tours and stuff like that. But our name before was Hunter Dumped Us Here, so that was even easier for people to screw up or just like make into jokes. So yeah, it started off as that by myself, and then added Preston and other members, and then in 2018 we changed the name, and that's kind of where we consider like all of the relevant stuff for our band now to have technically started. But yeah, as far as like how long we've been putting effort into it, it's been like 9 years now.
That's awesome. And then obviously it definitely shows within, you know, the craftsmanship within the work, and obviously all the heart and dedication that you've all put into it. And that, you know, that resonates to me. I try to find, you know, what I personally want to listen to. I want to listen to honest musicians. You know, that's the type of music I like. And you can definitely tell, you know, the fakes from the honest ones that are out there, because you can feel it. And I think, you know, that's what instantly from the second that I, you know, heard the first track from you guys, and I was like, okay, all right. And then it's more and more. I'm like, all right, I can actually make like an emotional connection to this. Like, fantastic. So,
yeah. Thank you. That's really cool to hear.
Well, that definitely, you know, that's what I want to be able to show and, you know, share and champion to everybody out there. So I'm really excited to have you on tonight. I always said that a lot, but like I'm gushing a little bit.
We're happy to be here.
You know, I love all the different artists that we get on here, but sometimes there's bands that I just really feel out, and you guys are absolutely that. So I wanted to kind of over these travels as I, you know, fanboy out a little bit here. Over these travels in the last few years before kind of COVID shut things down, are there any particular moments live on the road that just really stood out in your adventure so far?
You got any, Preston?
I mean, I don't know. What do you got, Gabe? You got any?
Well, I mean, there's obviously standouts both ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say my brain immediately went to a Texas overpass. That
I would say like one really cool standout. I always talk about this place because they're awesome. Is Holland House in Toledo, Ohio. It was just kind of a random date we added on, and it's literally just the guy that owns the house. It's his garage, and he has it set up to have shows. And we didn't really know what to expect for that date, but we rolled up, and it was just like instantly you were hanging out with family, basically. I think it was my birthday that day, and so they had like literally made a cake for me and like sang, and it was just such a like good time of community and music, and all of the bands that played were really cool. So that was a huge positive one that sticks in my mind from tour for me. And then another one that's still probably good, but it's funnier, is we were in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we were playing a show, and this guy at the show is just like, hey, come check out we were basically playing in like a big storage area. And he's like, hey, come check out my storage unit. And I was like, I don't know if I want to come check out your storage unit. He's like, no, come on, I'll show it to you. So he leads me across the street, and I go into this storage unit, and it is as decked out as you can imagine. Like, imagine what's behind you, except times like 20 of just like horror and film memorabilia, like bottom of the floor to the ceiling, just decked out with everything. And we were just like, I like was amazed, and I was like, okay, I have to go get the band and like bring them back to see this. And so we just like came back and hung out with this guy and his friend, and they were just like having beers and talking about the different stuff that they have in there. And it was just such a like surreal and funny and just like a cool experience, you know?
That could have totally took a drastic turn.
Right.
We're being led to a mysterious storage unit across the street. I was really surprised that somehow you made it out of alive to tell us this story, but it ended up being the opposite.
Yeah, that's the thing. You kind of have to like gauge the people that you meet on the road when they're like that, where you're like, I think this person seems cool, and like I don't think they seem like somebody that's gonna like try to rob me or you know, something like that. And he did seem just like a really nice guy. So he showed us around, showed us his decor, and then we left. And that was like honestly one of the funniest, most random things that happened that tour.
That's fucking awesome. I mean, he could have been like the most like, you know, just the kindest cannibal that you could have met, you know? I mean,
yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You know?
For real, yeah.
You know, but chase gets hard. You know, I can't relate. I'm not a cannibal. I don't know what cannibals deal with on a daily basis, but I'd imagine chasing people gets difficult. So.
It's got to get there. Preston, did you think of any?
I thought back to, I think it was honestly the next night in Denver, playing. I don't remember like the bar we were playing at, but we were playing with our bass player, some of his buddies. They were they were like basically like Sleep, but in my opinion, like it was just better because you were experiencing it live. And it's just like, it was just a fun little party hangout, and these guys just absolutely destroyed this bar with their sound. And it was a good night. But
you gotta love those little intimate moments like that, you know, especially when on the road, sometimes you get paired up on a bill, you don't really know each other beforehand, and then you hear it and you're just so fucking blown away, and you just couldn't have planned on that moment.
Yeah. Those are some of my favorite times. For
real, yeah. That's always a nice surprise. We had that too in Washington, D.C. You might, I don't know, with where you are located, you might have heard of this band, but there's a post-hardcore band called Pulses. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
Yeah, we played with them, and it was a Tuesday night in DC, and we were in like the upstairs of a venue where there was like a free show below. So all of the odds were against us, and I think we played to maybe 3 people besides bands, but just like getting to hang out and hear Pulses live and meet them was so cool, and was honestly like still a highlight of the tour, even though as far as like a band's business is concerned, it didn't go well. But it was, the hangs were worth it in that specific situation.
Sometimes, you know, in those adverse moments, you make the best of it, and then you end up making like lifelong connections with, you know, with these bands and artists, you know, just
right,
because of the shared tragedy of, you know, sometimes playing a ghost town show. But sometimes those ghost town shows are some of the best. I mean, I've done it as a DJ and in a band. And sometimes you have an absolute time just playing with the other people that are performing. So,
yeah.
I think we've all have been in that spot. Anyone that's in the underground scene, you're like, yeah, we've played, you know, a few graveyard shows in our career. But you know, it just gives you more character at the end of the day. That's what I think. So
it helps.
I love hearing these little stories, because you can never really plan on what's going to happen on the road, and I'm always kind of like people's general perspectives on it, you know. And that's kind of the magic of being in a band, you know, and especially for life and stuff like that. You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you get lured into a storage unit. Sometimes you lure somebody else into a storage unit. You know, that's how these things go from time to time. But before we take a break and check out some tunes here in a little bit, we obviously got the comeback show coming in August. Is there anything else happening here in the near future for Careful Gaze?
Yeah, we have we just released the single Next Dark Dawn like a week and a half ago, but we've got another single that we are in the process of getting ready to release then probably in fall. So we'll have more music, and we have a full album as well. It's just kind of a matter of trying to figure out, a label to pick it up or release it. So once we get that figured out, we'll have another full album. We already have that written and demoed out as well.
Awesome. Definitely tons to look forward to. And if you're in Minnesota, definitely want to check out Careful Gaze on August 5th. So
yeah.
Before we play some mixtape malarkey later on in the episode, where's the best place to listen to you?
Really anywhere on the internet that you prefer. We got Spotify, Apple, Bandcamp, if you want to throw a couple bucks our way, more than streaming. But at this point, streaming is kind of what everybody's looking at for a measuring stick for music, for bands. So I have no issue with you going on to Spotify.com and playing our whole discography.
I encourage it. Just listen and share. I don't give a fuck how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, literally just share it, and if you like it, you like it. And if you don't like it, tell me, and then hurt my feelings. And then,
SoundCloud, you could listen to it on SoundCloud as well.
You could. Deezer. There's that.
Don't do it on Deezer.
Don't? Okay.
Any other. I'm just kidding. You can do it on Deezer.
What about Tidal?
That one's fine.
They pay us more. Listen on Tidal.
Oh man, if you quickly install Napster really quick, jump back to 1998, and then find the tracks there.
Yes.
Just don't tell Lars.
Oh, Lars can fuck off. Imagine how good of a band Metallica would be if they didn't fucking have Lars holding them back. I'm sorry. I got no love for Lars. I mean, you know what's the best Metallica song? Any song that is covered by another band. Those are the best Metallica tracks. You want to hear?
I was waiting for you to say Saint Anger.
Periphery does best Metallica songs. Oh my god, Saint Anger, come on! You got fucking Ozzy on there and shit. Fuck that too. Oh
Listen,
god,
I love the snare tone on Saint Anger.
All the Metallica fans out there. Whoops.
I'm not one of them.
I once listened to 6 Metallica albums in one work day.
My God.
So
you ride the lightning after that?
Just don't listen to Saint Anger. Just don't. Just if you want to listen to Saint Anger, just go outside and listen to like a garbage truck, like empty the garbage into it.
Go and turn down all the highs, all the mids on any audio platform that you're listening to. And then take that headphone and put it underwater and then fart on it. And then it's going to sound better because the production value on that album is absolute dog shit. I don't usually talk a lot of smack, but I will talk smack on that because that is one of the worst albums I've ever heard in my life. Hands down. You've heard, that's right. Punky's mixtape, Metallica, do better.
Damn, shots fired.
Fire Lars, get the guys from Periphery, and then you'll be halfway decent.
Let Matt Halpern do some blast beats. Come on.
Dude, get Scott Ian in there. There's so many better people, You can get friggin' Lombardo from Slayer. Like, there's so many better drummers out there. Just Lars, fuck off and sit down. First mixtapers. Punky and Punky Bruiser are coming for you, Metallica. Oh shit! My guest tonight have been Gabe and Preston of Careful Gaze. We're going to hang out, check out some tunes, and then be back to play a little bit of mixtape malarkey later on in the episode. Boys, let's hope we don't get sued between now and then.
I'll plan on it.